They brought the mightiest kingdom to its knees, just like that. If you are wondering who they are and how it all went down, then get ready for a roller coaster of revelations, betrayals, and astonishing feats of power in the One Piece universe. Today we dive deep into the chilling reality unfolding on Elbaf Island, an event so cataclysmic it has forced even the proud warrior giants into submission. What is truly happening there, and what does it mean for the Straw Hats as they charge headlong into a showdown that could redefine their destinies? In this extensive exploration, we will unravel the unimaginable threat known as Imu, the mysterious god's knights, and a legendary technique passed down from the Pirate King's era that just might be the key to saving everything. First things first, imagine the proud and fearless Giants of Elbaph, renowned throughout the world for their warrior spirit, being overpowered to the point of near destruction. Historically, these colossal warriors have prided themselves on being unconquerable, standing firm against threats that would make lesser nations crumble. Yet even these robust defenders, who have weathered centuries of conflict on the Grand Line, found themselves unable to stop the unstoppable might of Imu and the terrifying god's knights. This development signals much more than a routine confrontation. In fact, many see it as the final prelude to the greatest war in One Piece's entire timeline. But how did we get here? Why have the Giants, rumored to be among the oldest treaties of alliance once formed with the Pirate King and his crew, been driven to a humiliating capitulation? The answers trace back to the twisted illusions behind the world government and its elusive leader Imu. For the longest time, countless fans believed the world government was run by the Gorosei, the Five Elders, as the highest authorities. However, the revelation of Imu, shrouded in secrets and perhaps centuries-old knowledge, has changed the entire power hierarchy. This figure commands not only the loyalty of the elders, but also directs the god's knights, an elite and seemingly immortal force capable of binding entire nations within mere moments. Today's story is all about the frightening possibility that even the composure and might of Monkey D. Luffy, together with his top fighters, Roronoa, Zoro, and Vinsmoke Sanji, might not be enough to topple this invincible collective. Indeed, we may be heading toward a confrontation so monumental that no amount of standard haki or advanced martial arts can assure victory. So, how exactly do the Straw Hats plan to overcome the god's knights? That is where an old friend steps in, Scopper Gaban, once a key member of the Pirate King's crew and a man who might just hold the piece of the puzzle that the monster trio desperately needs. Before we dive into his surprising role, let us highlight precisely why the god's knights are so formidable. First, they are rumored to have regeneration abilities. Tales speak of them standing back up after lethal cuts and blows, as though guided by some immortal essence. That ability alone would be terrifying enough, but it becomes all the more threatening when one realizes they serve none other than Imu, a potentially ancient being whose mastery of haki surpasses anything we have ever witnessed. The unstoppable synergy between Imu and the god's knights has already turned entire kingdoms to dust, and now that power is knocking on Elbaf's gates. The question swirling through everyone's mind: if a land as strong as Elbaf cannot hold them back, what force in the world is strong enough to stand in their way? We then arrive at one of the major revelations. Scopper Gaban, a longtime enigma among fans of the legendary Roger pirates, has emerged from the shadows. Known to have been one of Goldie, Roger's most trusted fighters, he apparently harbors a crucial piece of knowledge, an advanced technique or special form of haki that can drastically diminish, if not outright nullify, the god's knight's ability to regenerate. And as it stands, Gaban may be the only one alive who can teach this lethal blow to the Straw Hats monster trio. That alone sets up a situation brimming with tension. Will Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji learn this skill in time, or will events spiral further into tragedy? Picture the scene: Elbaf, with its grand dunes and monumental structures, once alive with giant festivities and unwavering camaraderie, now reduced to haunting silence. Smoldering ruins line the horizon. The few giants remaining gather to nurse their wounds, uncertain if any glimmer of hope prevails. Then appear Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, bloodied from minor skirmishes, desperate to rally their morale, and preparing to defend a proud race they long admired from childhood stories. Tension is thick in the air as they bow to Gaban, who, though aged, still carries an aura of quiet ferocity. The sun dips low, painting a blood-red sky over Elbaf's battered towns. At that moment, Gaban reveals the only reason he is still alive, he holds both the method and the will to land a fatal blow on even the so-called immortals, a refined approach that transcends conventional logic. But do not think for a moment that Immu and the God's Knights will stand idly by. If anything, their victory in subduing Elbaf has rendered them more brazen, more assured in their unstoppable momentum. Whispers abound that Immu's origins connect to a force older than the Void Century, an era that still mystifies historians and archaeologists across the seas. Could Immu be the reason so many have disappeared, stoking centuries of misinformation about the true nature of the world? The notion becomes even more chilling when allied with rumors that at the heart of the God's Knight's power lies a twisted accumulation of lifespans or stolen souls. Though these rumors remain unconfirmed, the horrifying possibility alone is enough to send shudders through the bravest souls. Furthermore, the fact that none of the 5 elders tried to intervene to protect Elbaf begs unsettling questions. Have they too been coerced by Immu, or do they share in this monstrous agenda, seeking deliberately to eliminate potential threats before the final crescendo of the war? The Giants were once allied with the Pirate King, and so their island holds many ancient secrets, bridging the gap between the era of Joy Boy and the present day. Taking Elbaf out of the equation, or at least subduing its warrior race, ensures that these secrets do not widely circulate, secrets that might state unequivocally how the world came under the dominion of the celestial dragons and eventually brought about the rise of Immu. The stakes have never been higher. We are talking about events that could expose the entire structure upon which the world government stands. In the middle of this chaos, we see the Straw Hats, now tested like never before. Luffy, who has awakened a unique power in his own right, stands at the forefront, but something tells us he alone cannot break the dark chains slung around Elbaf. Zoro, whose swordsmanship has escalated to near legendary levels, still might falter against foes who keep regenerating from mortal attacks. Sanji, too, dynamic as a fighter, must push beyond the potent capabilities of his modified lineage. Each stands to gain immeasurably from Gaban's knowledge, as it could tilt the scales of war in favor of good. However, this potential victory is far from a guaranteed outcome, particularly when Immu's own haki, according to Gaban's remarks in one of the more recent chapters, dwarfs anything even he has witnessed in his storied life. But that is part of the reason we are all so captivated by this potential confrontation. It promises an escalation that surpasses all arcs before it. Could we see a moment akin to Marineford's cataclysmic showdown, only magnified several times over, with the fate of more than just one pirate captain at risk? If Luffy's side fails, Elbaf's subjugation might become the blueprint for how Immu and the God's Knights plan to manage dissidents in the final conflict. That means an unstoppable wave of conquerors traveling from land to land, continuing until every ally to justice, freedom, or even the memory of Joy Boy is wiped out. We stand on the precipice of the last saga that Oda has been building toward for decades. With so many plot threads converging, Pirate King legacies, Joy Boy's re-emergence, the possibility of centuries-long conspiracies unraveling, this period is indeed shaping up to be the grandest story arc of them all. And in the middle stands that enthralling question: how does Luffy find a way to match or surpass Immu's power? Not just for himself, but for everyone who pinned their hopes and dreams on the Straw Hats to make this the new dawn of freedom. If you find these revelations thrilling and you want to dive even deeper into the mysteries of One Piece, feel free to let us know. Every bit of feedback helps us craft an even better exploration of these monumental chapters. Now that we have teased the shocking triumph of Immu's forces and the precarious predicament crippling Elbaf, you might be thinking, surely, once Luffy hones the advanced technique taught by Gaban, they have what it takes to finish the job in one blow? But it is not that simple. Just like mastering advanced armament haki or unlocking the intangible might of Conqueror's haki, Gaban's technique comes with severe prerequisites. Chief among them is a heightened mental acuity that merges seamlessly with physical skill. Remember, it was only showcased briefly in the story so far in One Piece. Chapter 1149, titled 1 Second. There, Gaban confronted Shepherd Summers, a god's knight whose regeneration was so advanced it appeared almost ludicrous. Yet Gaban's single strike left the so-called immortal battered, reeling as though someone had shattered the essence fueling his unholy longevity. A technique so precise might demand perfect timing, unwavering conviction, and a synergy of armament haki and, perhaps, an unspoken power beyond what we have seen so far. To compound the complexity, Gaban evidently recognizes Imu's power, intimating a haunting familiarity that he gleaned from his days under Goldie Roger. Could it be that he once faced this same dark force long ago, but lacked the chance to put an end to it? If so, that means Gaban has been running from or preparing for this very day for countless years. And if that is true, he must know more about Imu's strengths, vulnerabilities, and possible origin than he initially conveys. From the vantage point of the narrative, that sets the stage for one of the most emotional apprenticeships in the series. Imagine Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji forced to train relentlessly, spurred on by the knowledge that their best shot at protecting Elbaf and the entire world rests on whether they can break the unbreakable. Tensions would flare, alliances would strain, and the drama would be at a fever pitch. The overarching question remains: what exactly empowered Immu to bind the gods' knights with immortality? Is it some relic from the Void Century, an artifact that has never been fully explained to us? It might be connected to the mysterious operation that grants eternal life, teased during the Dressrosa arc with the possible side effect of the Ope Ope no Mi's ultimate technique. Or perhaps it is linked to ancient hockey techniques so vile that no moral warrior would dare to use them. However it works, the result is chilling, effectively turning each knight into an unstoppable agent of the world government's darkest secrets. Beings who do not flinch at the prospect of entire nations crumbling under their unstoppable might. And now, on Elbaf, we come face to face with the greatest puzzle: how to land a final, irreversible strike on a foe who shrugs off standard finishing blows. Gaban's knowledge may hold the missing puzzle piece, but even if Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji manage to adopt it, they need a battleground scenario that sets them up for success. After all, the chaos swirling through Elbaf right now is the perfect environment for the gods' knights to corner them. With entire squads of knights prowling the ruined strongholds and Imu's watchful gaze scanning for any sign of revolt, the Straw Hats cannot rely on frontal assault alone. They must leverage cunning alliances, coordinate with the battered giants, and perhaps even call upon outside help from surprising corners. With any luck, a few old alliances might endure. Could Shanks, for instance, have a hidden stake in seeing Elbaf liberated? Fans have speculated for years about his interest in forging ties with the Giants. Then you have allies like Trafalgar Law, who has a personal vendetta against the twisted manipulations behind the world government. If even a fraction of these potential alliances coalesce, we might witness the formation of a rebel coalition strong enough, or at least determined enough, to take on the unstoppable. Think about how electrifying that would be. A force so diverse, so much in the crosshairs of the world government, converging on Elbaf for an epic stand against the darkness. Do not forget, though, the gods' knights are rumored to have unknown numbers, each member proficient in multiple forms of advanced hockey. The prospect of staggering casualties is all too real. Still, these stakes underscore precisely why Gaban's secret technique stands out as the golden ticket. If the Straw Hats can drive even one god's knight to a permanent defeat, the aura of invincibility fractures. The entire approach of using intimidation through unstoppable warriors crumbles under that single success. And once that seed of doubt is planted, the giants can rally, the pirates can unify, and many of the neutral or threatened kingdoms might see hope in resisting the tyranny of Immu. In other words, Gaban's technique is not merely a martial skill, nor just a matter of making a strategic strike. It is the potential symbol around which the entire world can revolve, one that says, yes, these monsters can be hurt, and so can their seemingly omnipotent ruler. Now, as you can imagine, with everything on the line, the personal journeys of each major Straw Hat have never mattered more. Luffy is on the brink of a massive identity shift. Once carefree, he has gradually taken on the burdens of a liberator destined to challenge the seat of the world government. Zoro continues to chase the shadows of the world's best swordsman, striving to hone his skill to slice through even illusions of immortality. And Sanji? He battles not just formidable opponents, but also an internal struggle linked to his lineage modifications, seeking to align the best of his enhancements with his moral code of protecting those in need. Each has a reason to stand tall, to give it everything they have got, and to grow in the crucible of this imminent conflict. In these final arcs, revelations about Joy Boy, the ancient weapons, and the poneglyphs will link together. There is little doubt that Elbaf, which historically might hold ties to the secrets of Laugh Tale, plays a major role in bridging the centuries. By subduing Elbaf, Imu might be attempting to keep that knowledge permanently buried. For Luffy and company, that is unacceptable. They stand for freedom, the unveiling of truths, and the forging of a new era absent of subjugation. The tension behind these clashing ideologies is precisely what sets the stage for the greatest war in One Piece. But do not let the gloom overshadow one crucial detail: the optimism that underpins the Straw Hats. One Piece has always centered on the exhilarating dream of forging a better tomorrow. Yes, the path is fraught with heartbreak and heartbreakers, but there is an eternal sense of hope and camaraderie fueling them forward. And with the possibility of a secret technique that can finally level the playing field, we have come full circle on many earlier hints that the Pirate King's crew left behind a blueprint for future generations to follow. This is why the next few chapters of One Piece may prove more important than anything we have witnessed so far. Not only do they carry the potential reveal of ancient grudges, they also might shine a revealing light on the very nature of Imu and the gods' knights. The power to stand tall against them, the fragility of their immortality, and the resonates of a centuries-old feud could burst forth in the heat of battle. You will not want to miss a moment of this intense buildup, especially if, as rumored, certain characters from arcs long past reappear to fulfill destinies previously overshadowed. Should any of these details so far spark your excitement, consider showing some love by subscribing for further deep dives. We promise to keep the hype rolling as we stand on the brink of One Piece's ultimate revelations. Each chapter from here on out has the potential to magnify the drama and catapult us closer to the day of reckoning at the heart of the Grand Line. In the final analysis, the conflict at Elbaf is so vital because it steps beyond a mere local skirmish to become the symbolic pivot of the entire era. If Luffy's side can topple the unstoppable, they become more than just pirates with an audacious dream. They become the true challengers of an ancient, oppressive regime. If they fail, the world might be locked into an age of darkness under Imu and the terrifying might of God's knights. This is the battle in which the monster trio must surpass their limits for the sake of everyone who still believes in tomorrow. So, are you prepared for the next pulse-pounding events? Keep your mind open, remember the lessons from sagas past, and brace yourself for twists that will mark this storyline as the most colossal arc in the series. The secrets of Imu, the unbreakable gods' knights, and the game-changing knowledge Scopper Gaban is about to impart are converging into something that could either end in absolute devastation or blossom into a new dawn. The fate of Elbaf, and indeed the entire One Piece world, hangs in the balance as these final conflicts approach. Stay tuned, because the clash of powers more ancient and frightening than we ever imagined is upon us. And only time will tell if the Straw Hats can turn the tide and write the next legendary chapter of One Piece.